Pinging people in. Hello, Linnell. Happy Friday, Family Talk Fridays. How are you?
I am well, Janet. How are you today?
Ooh, I am good. You sound a little in the Matrix.
No, I'm not in the matrix. I will not accept that.
Oh no. Is everybody okay? Can you hear okay? Just put it in the chat if you're looking forward to the session a day. We would love for you to come up and also share your knowledge. Shayna, you too as well. This is Family Talk Fridays, and we are redefining communication dynamics in our family unit. Linnell, would you like to share and introduce?
Absolutely. So, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're still a little in the matrix. Let me see.
Hi. I'm wondering if it might be my location, but we are going to go ahead and go get through it. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linnell Burns. Of course, I am the soul coach, and thank you so much, Janet, for agreeing for us to do this under the Global Women Wealth Warriors Clubhouse room so that we can really bring conversation to the forefront with our families. Just a little bit about me. I'm a mom of 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and the communication styles between both of the sexes was very different as they were growing up. And so my older 2 children and I were close, but we weren't as close as I thought we were because I grew up in a time where children were seen and not heard. And I translated that to my children a lot without being aware that as I was telling them that, it wasn't just in regards to grown folks' conversation, like they say, but also in other aspects of life as well. And so I really wanted us to talk about some of the things that we learned as children, some of the things that we taught our children, and how our children are now teaching us.
I did. I did.
Can you still hear me, Janet?
I can. I'm sorry, Linnell.
Oh, it's okay. Okay. So that's basically the premise of our Family Talk Fridays. We're going to have an open conversation about some of the things that we learned as kids, brought into our own relationships with our children. And I know for me personally, I have learned so much from my own children and what not to do. And hopefully they are able to pass that on as well as they become parents. And so I'll turn it back over to you, Janet.
That is a great point, Linnell. We are showing our children how to communicate in our family unit so they could take that on themselves. But for us, me growing up, there was lack of communication. There was no communication really growing up. And so when I finally had my own family, I wanted that. I wanted what I didn't have growing up. So I became the parent I didn't have. The one that actually told my child that I love you, hugged my child constantly, told them that I love, because there was no talk like that when I was growing up. And not saying that it was a sad thing, but it was an experience that made me realize I definitely wanted that for my family when I created my family. So a little bit about me. Thank you, Soul Coach Linnell. My name is Janet Alvarado. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I am married with 2 beautiful independent children who are now grown, 28 and 23, who are now grown and living their lives. And all we can do is let them live and fail and fall and get back up, because that's what we taught our children, to never give up on your dreams. Always get up, because you're stronger than that. And I feel like we as parents showed them a good example as well. Is there some music in the background?
Girl, I thought, is that a commercial break? Like, what's
Commercial break. That's a good one. Oh, look who's in the house. We have in the house Jackie and Tanya and Ade, and of course Renee in our clubhouse
yeah.
room. I was hoping we'd have more people. If you please share this room, we would like input, and some music is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Started. That's what it is, Janice.
So excited. So, redefining the communication dynamics. How did you communicate with your children when they were growing up as a single mother, Linnell?
That's such a good question, Janice. And like I said, my older two children, they were very, I would say, very respectful of what I said to them. My youngest child, on the other hand, was very vocal when it came to things that he thought he were unfair. And when he was about 16 years old, well, yeah, 16, because he's 17 now, he said to me one day, he goes, Mom, you always say children should be seen and not heard. But then you turn around and you tell me that you want me to talk to you about my day. So which one do you want? Do you want me to talk to you about my day, or do you want me to be seen and not heard? And when he said that to me, I couldn't even, like, I was caught by surprise, because I had told him so many times in regards to when I was having conversations with other people, or if there was a topic that I felt as though it wasn't an appropriate topic for him to be speaking on as a child, especially when two adults were speaking. And so he took that to heart. And I noticed that our communication went from always communicating what was going on in school, what was going on in his life, what was going on when he goes on school trips, to coming home and I say, how was school today? And he said, fine. What'd you learn? Nothing. All day you didn't learn anything? Nope. For 8 hours you were there and nothing was learned. And I didn't realize that it was what I had told him that was really manifesting the way we were communicating with each other. And so I had to step back as a parent and really redefine who I was, not just as his parent, but also as someone he could trust to come to, right? Because if your children don't trust the fact that they're going to be able to communicate openly with you, what are the chances that they're actually going to communicate? And that was a lesson I had to learn. And I want other parents to know that it's okay for kids to talk, not to be disrespectful, because we're not talking about disrespecting your parents, but we are talking about opening the lines of communication where your children know it's okay to have a voice and to be able to magnify that voice in a realistic fashion, and also receive the respect in the communication as well. What about you, Janet? How did you communicate with your children?
That's a good point that you said right there, Linnell, that we want our children to trust us and be able to talk to us without them fearing that we're going to get angry. Because that's a lot of times, for me, I didn't talk to my parent because that's how I felt. Like if I told her, she wouldn't understand, she would get mad at me. Oh, no. Can you see me, Linnell?
I can see you.
Okay, so something just popped up in front of my computer. Okay, I have to fix that.
So,
Okay. I was like, wait, I can't see. Yes. So I was thinking, we can't have our children trying to communicate with us when we're in a discussion mode, or in a situation where you're trying to discipline them and they're not trying to understand you, and you guys have to take a break from each other if communication is not working at that point.
yeah.
take a deep breath, walk away for a second, let the child know, look, let's take some time and we'll come back to this conversation when we're more calmer.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it seemed like dinner time was always a good time to talk because we were breaking bread at the table, and that was our family time. No phones on the table, no distractions, no TV on. It's just us enjoying a good meal and talking to each other. And I would take it even further. I actually found these dinner conversation cards one time at the mall. I don't know where, but if anybody's interested, I actually have the number to the link to those cards. But I would stick a card under their plate for dinner time, and we'd go around, and it was us four. And after dinner, we'd pick up a card and read it. And that you find out a lot of things about people when it's just simple questions like what was your favorite memory on a vacation, things like that you wouldn't even think, like you didn't talk about it to your family at the time, oh yeah, that was a great vacation, but your favorite part of the vacation, and then we start a dialogue and we start conversation, and it makes it fun. It makes it fun for all of us. So those were some things that I like to do. And speaking of vacation, when you are on vacation, that's a great time to speak to your children, your family as well, because we're all like, woo, we're all kind of like on vacation, reflecting, relaxed. And it's time to connect at those points. And I used to love that, going on vacation. So those are good ways to communicate with your family, not when everything's heated or we're not understanding each other at the time. How about for you, Linnell?
Absolutely. And I think that's such a great idea, those conversation dinner cards. So definitely would love to link to those as well, Janet. And you talked about the vacation and what was the favorite part of vacation, because we are people that like the me factor, what I liked to do, what I liked more about the vacation. But when we ask our children the parts of the vacation that they liked, much different than ours, right? And I remember my son, well, we all went on a cruise to Cozumel, Mexico. And my oldest son actually had met up with one of his high school friends from a previous school he had gone to. And they were able to meet each other on this cruise, and they had such a good time together. Of course, his sister and brother weren't too thrilled because, they were older, they were going off by themselves, and now it's the brother and sister. They actually have to commune with each other and things like that. But when I talked to my son, he was excited about that because he hadn't seen his friend in about 2 years. My daughter was excited about the fact that she was able to just lay out by the pool and soak up the sun. And the little one, he loved going down the slide. Like, he was literally on the slide for the entire cruise. So for me personally, my enjoyment came from the fact that I had taken them to the cruise and they were experiencing something different, that they were experiencing something that was out of the ordinary. So for me, that was the best part of the cruise. But we all had the same experiences, but four different parallels for the same experience. And that's what happens in communication with our children. I think a lot of times as parents, we're coming from our perspective, but we're not seeing the perspective of the child. Or we may have a spouse and we're seeing it from our circumstance, but perception is reality. And in that moment, everyone's perception is actually reality. Wouldn't you agree, Janet?
I definitely do agree, Linnell. And wow, that's amazing. And at top of that too, um, when you do decide, hey, we're going on vacation, bring the kids in the conversation. Like, where do you want to go? Talk to them about what they would like to do as a
Mm-hmm.
vacation and for your family. So
Yeah.
that's That's a good point. Vacations and bringing in your children and getting them involved for sure. Thank you for that, Linnell.
Absolutely. So what are some of the things, back when you were having your dinner conversations with your children as they were younger, what are some of the things that you found that was a different view from the children's eyes than it was from your eyes? Can you remember anything in those instances?
Um, I'm sorry, Linnell. Can you repeat that again? I'm like,
So you talked about the family dinners and having the conversation cards. Are there any things that came up during those family dinners that you didn't necessarily know was happening in the minds of your children? And did they give you insight into what they were thinking?
well, sometimes they would, and sometimes they wouldn't. Especially when they became teenagers. It seemed like once they hit junior high, like,
Mm,
it was a different story. And I understood because they were going through their change in their bodies, and just a lot of things were happening to them, as in change wise, the hormones and all that. So I try to be patient and understand. And at the same time, I feel like I lost a little bit of communication with them when they did go through that, because they no longer wanted to communicate. They were like, "Oh, mom, do we have to do these cards again?" or or why you keep asking us what we learned, little things like that. But I never gave up, and they know.
mm-hmm.
But it's definitely important to understand, because we want to be understood as well as parents. We want our children to understand what we're going through. We don't want to give them all our, dump all our problems or all our worries onto them. Definitely not. And you want to keep it a worry-free zone, but learn the techniques of having a stress-free life. And I learned those techniques, especially after going through an aneurysm and the doctors telling me that they didn't know why. And that the only thing that they can figure out was the stress. I could have been too stressed, that I blew a vessel in the brain and it bled. So that got me into fear mode, where I had to learn how to de-stress myself and not go down that rabbit hole. Oh my God, try and be calm, take breaths, sit with myself for a while, meditate, sit in silence, de-stress, and just know that whatever is happening, it shall pass. And praying, find time to pray, and that's what I would do. So I kind of showed my children the same ways. Like, stress is inevitable. It's gonna come, but it's how you handle it that's the important part. And we do get lost, and we're not perfect parents, believe that. So, and we get mad and angry, but then after you realize that you've gone through that, talk about it.
Yeah,
Talk about your feelings and let your kids know that you're not perfect. No one is, and that they shouldn't expect that.
that's absolutely right, Jonathan. I have an ebook that I'm going to put up later on in the on my link, and it's actually called The Parent's Guide to Raising These Kids. And the reason that I named it that way is because we don't have a manual when our children are born. For me personally, my children didn't have grandparents. My mom passed away when I was 24, and my son had been born the year before. So I was 23 when my son was born, 24 when my mom passed, and I'm sorry, I got the timeline wrong. My father passed when I was 23, my mother passed when I was 24, and my son was born at the same time in between. So when my mom passed away, my oldest son was only 1 years old. I was actually pregnant with my daughter when my mom passed away. And so she never got the opportunity to instill in me the things that grandparents instill, in their children and their grandchildren, the little the little ways or the little traditions that she had. I didn't experience that. So a lot of the things that I learned as a parent, I learned from watching other people. I learned from reading books. I had people who came into my life, a village of people that I'm very, very grateful for, but they didn't have the traditional grandparents. And so I remember having those times in my life where I was like, am I even doing this correctly? There were things that were coming up in school that I didn't know how to handle, and I handled them the best way that I knew because I was my only frame of reference. And the other people who had had situations with their children, a lot of their children were already grown. So the reason that I wrote the guide was because I want other parents to know it's okay. We're not perfect. We don't have all the answers, but yet at the same time, we have to be willing to be open to the questions, because there will be questions that our children ask us. There will be questions that we ask ourselves. And that shows our humanity, but it also shows that we have room for growth, right? Because if we believe that we are the end all be all, we've already stopped growing. When we think we have nothing else to learn, we've stopped growing. And like I said at the beginning, my children taught me so much about how to be a parent, right? And I'm so grateful for the experiences. Would I have liked them to have been a little bit different? I don't know, because I didn't live that life. But the life I do live, and the one that I came from, it gave my children a sense of strength and leadership, and they know how to communicate the way that they need to in order for me to listen. And so I'm really appreciative of having this conversation, because I know I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only single mother, and I also wasn't the only one who may have lost the parent, both parents, or just didn't have the answers. What about you, Janet?
Linnell, you are so right when you say our children teach us so much, and it's the childhood innocence in us all that we should connect to. Um, Real quick, I wanted to thank everybody for being here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Clubhouse. Thank you so much. If you're enjoying the conversation, like Queen Renee put down, put some red hearts in the chat. And we so appreciate you guys for being here. If you have any questions or would like to chime in, I know Esther said that, yeah, parents are not perfect. We are intentional parents, and I love that. Thank you so much for all the red hearts. Jermaine, I had to learn on my own. Yes, we have to learn on our own, just like Linnell. Hello, Shay. Shaya, if you have any questions, please post them. We're here to learn as well. Everybody's families were different growing up, and now, did we continue the cycle or did we break the cycle? That's the important part too. And if you continue the cycle and the cycle is not a healthy one, let's switch that up. It's never too late to change. And when you mentioned something, Linnell, about education and learning, we will always continue learning. Every day we learn from each other, and especially in apps like this. Uh, I'm learning so much from everyone here. I've grown and learned so much, and I so appreciate this app because we're getting the dynamics and the shares from people from all over the world, from different cultures. So it's amazing how we can get together and communicate. This communication is key. So I wanted to share something that definition of redefining is to look beyond, re-elevate, reshape the bad to get to the to get to be invigorated, reinvigorate, like just expand. So let's expand the communications within our families. Think of new ways. Get ourselves out of the house and just go down to your park. It's as easy as that. And take your children, take some sandwiches, have a little picnic, just surprise, something that's not going to cost a lot of money. But yet you're bringing together, and have some questions for your children, and have them have questions for you. I love it when my kids ask me questions. I'm all, I'm ready to answer, even the tough questions. Like, what were you like as a kid? It's like, ah.
Oh Lord.
But they understand, because they understand where I came from. First of all, we want we want to set a picture that we were young too. We don't want our children just to think that we were parents and we're supposed to know it all. We want our children to know that we were young too once, and that we don't have all the answers, and that as a unit and at togetherness, we can find the solutions to any problems in our families. And that's what I want families to realize.
Awesome, Janet. And that's so key. I love the fact that you talked about wanting your children to know that you were a child once yourself, right? Because they only met us as adults. They never met us as children, so they don't know what that looked like for us. We're the only one that know our history. And then, of course, if there are other family members who can enlighten them, it's great. But we are the ones that they would come to for that information. And so when we get to a mindset where we can, I don't want to say get down to their level, because I don't want to lower the intelligence of our children, but to get to the point of where they are, meet them where they are. And instead of trying to have them meet us where we are, because we have so much more experience in life, and we have to be able to explain it in a way that they can digest it. So I absolutely love the fact that when we're open to those questions, we can now give them what they need as far as seeing our own humanity, right? Because I think a lot of times with our children, and I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. With my children, I'm always mom, but I'm not, Linnell, the one that had maybe a boyfriend at 16, and now I went through the hormonal changes like you're talking about. Or I had my first prom and how nervous I was when there was a pimple that came out on my face all of a sudden. Or, what do I do as a young lady that's breaking into womanhood, and now my body is changing and there are things happening to my body that I don't understand. So when we can really put ourselves in our children's place and say, let me not just be the adult in this situation, let me listen to understand them, it definitely changes the
Oh,
dynamic.
definitely, that's key, is listening. Do more listening than talking. That's in anything really, even in business. So now that's in everything. Just listen more, and you'll find the answers. Now, Charmaine on Facebook mentioned that her parents had a rough life, and she decided to the cycles change the cycle. And that is for me as well, Charmaine. My mother had a hard life. So she really didn't know how to raise children, and she had her own journey. And for a long time as a teenager, I kind of blamed my mother for a lot of things, not trying to understand me, not knowing who I was. I felt like she didn't love me because of this and that and this. You know, um, until I realized what my mother went through, then I had more compassion and understanding why she was the way she was. So I definitely agree with Charmaine. And Shayna says that she likes it when her children like the same things she did as a child, and it gets her so excited. Like for me right now, I'm learning to roller skate again, and my daughter says she wants to come with me, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for that little journey of us doing something fun together like that. And see, find some stuff that your children like, even now that they're adults, even find stuff that you both will like and enjoy to do as a family.
Absolutely. Awesome, Janet. Well, I definitely appreciate us being able to share this today. And then also, thank you for everyone in the audience that participated. If you guys have any topics that you would like us to touch on, we definitely are open to that. Please send a message either to Janet and I, or you can send it to Renee Noor on the Instagram page, so that we are able to touch on the things that are also important to you. Yes, it might be Janet and I right now, face to face doing the talk, but we can't do anything without you guys, and so we definitely want to include you in our conversations. Is that right, Janet?
Definitely. Thank you, Linnell, for that. And I think we will go on um, to the clubhouse and listen and get the input from the ladies there, and to see what they thought of the conversation, and also to share their knowledge and their wisdom on communication with the family. So
Awesome.
thank you, Linnell, for being here with me today. I
Oh, you're
appreciate you.
welcome. Thank you. And I
Yeah.
will see you in the clubhouse.
And we will be here every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Hey guys, before you all close, nice if you guys could do sort of like a words of wisdom by each one of you all, from Janet alongside with Linnell, before you close out with today's segment. If you guys can please provide us with some words of wisdom where it relates to Family Talk Fridays, redefining communication dynamics. Please.
Thank you, Renee. Linnell, would you like to go first?
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Janet. Well, my words of wisdom are: speak less, listen more to your children. We do it in business. We do it in other relationships. We make sure that people know that we are actively listening to what they're saying, but are we doing that to the people who matter the most to us? And so when we really redefine that communication and we can listen more and speak less, it allows our children to speak to us more. And then we can commune as a family properly. And that's what I have this afternoon, Janet. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Listen, speak less, listen more, for sure. And for me, I would say hug, words of empowerment. Hug your family, let them know you love them every day. Every day. I cannot go one day without saying that I love you to my family. So my kids and my husband, definitely, I love you every day. Have a great day. I love you. Have a great day. Thank you so much, Linnell.
The pleasure was mine, Janet, and we'll see you at the clubhouse, okay?
We'll see